it's me, your void, and love is in the air, and capitalism! So after failing of making my February decidedly non-romantic last year, because this bitch, you know, the TBR protein jar of doom, decided to make me read romance books left, right, and center, I decided that this year we are going all in and we are making it so bad. It's going to be smutty, it's going to be romantic, and it's going to be pink all throughout. There's not much more to say about how I picked these books, so let's go. First up, we have Sinner by Simone. Inherently romantic, I know. We are taking the Lord's name in vain in this romance in which I think a guy falls in love with a woman who is about to be a nun, or who is a nun, I'm not quite sure. He leads a life of sin, and she's committed to a life of virtue. John Bell is not a good man, and he's never pretended to be. He doesn't believe in goodness, God, or any happy ending that isn't paid for in advance. There are words for men like him. Playboy, womanizer, skirt chaser, sinner. When he meets a gorgeous college girl at a fundraiser, he has no problem telling her exactly what filthy things he wants to do to her, until he realizes she's his best friend's little sister, Zenobia Zenny Iverson, all grown up. Worse than that, she's also about to become a nun. Zenny, though, isn't looking to play it safe during her final month of freedom. She wants to make sure choosing God is the right path, and to do that, she propositions Sean to show her every carnal temptation she's leaving behind. Unable to refuse, Sean finds himself falling for her, body and soul, and questioning not just the morals he's dodged for years, but his relationship with the God Zenny has pledged herself to. The only problem is, what if Sean wants Zenny to choose him instead of him? So this is right up the alley of February. Romantic, smutty, and about capitalism. Yeah. I read Sinner by Simone a while ago. I think at this point 2 years ago? I don't know. It was the first installment of the Literature Book Club. That's what I remember. And then I just never followed up because the second book was a weird Formula One book. Whatever. I loved Priest very much, and I am very much here to take the Lord's name in vain. And as you can see, the accent color on this piece is pink, and it is flowery, and it is going to be very much the February read. Very romantic, I know. Next up, we have Mona, and the German title that just makes my brain blank for a translation. So we just go with Mona. This one is by a German author, so there is no translation, and if you want to read this, you have to learn German. Sucks to suck. And this one is described as a fantasy romance with bite. I am not kidding. It's literally on the blurb. It literally says fantasy. That pun is not on me. I would read you the blurb, but it's all in German, and I can't be asked to translate it, so take my word for it. We follow Mona, who is a witch, and she is a security night guard person at a museum, and one day, or one night rather, someone is breaking into the museum, and her first thought is, oh shit, let's summon a demon to deal with those burglars. And she does, but she makes a little oopsie, so instead of just summoning a random demon she can send back to hell, she summons an archdemon. And that archdemon is not just summoned by her, he is also bound to her. And now he somewhat makes it his mission to flirt with Mona until she falls for him. And then the plot expands into a vampiric magician, wizard, whatever, who comes back, and then that's apparently another one of Mona's problems, and apparently it's a bigger problem than the ever-flirting, charmingly archdemon that is accidentally bound to her. Vampires! It is a romance. And it is pink. What is love if not queer as fuck? So next up we have a queer pick for this whole thing, which is A Lady for a Duke by Alexis Hall. And in this one we follow a trans woman in Victorian, I think, England. And we follow her as she reconnects with an old, not flame, technically he was her best friend, and then she transitioned. And now they have to reevaluate their relationship, and it turns into a romance. And that is basically all I know about it. War tore them apart. When Viola Carroll was presumed dead at Waterloo, she took the opportunity to live at last as herself. But freedom does not come without a price, and Viola paid for hers with the loss of her wealth, her title, and her closest companion, Justin de Vere, the Duke of Gracewood. Chance brought them together. Only when their families reconnect, years after the war, does Viola learn how deep that loss truly was. Shattered without her, Gracewood has retreated so far into grief that Viola barely recognizes her old friend and the lonely, brooding man he has become. Love could set them free. As Viola strives to bring Gracewood back to himself, fresh desires give new names to old feelings. Feelings that would have been impossible once, and may be impossible still, but which Viola cannot deny, even if they cost her everything all over again. So we have a cute little, very dramatic sounding historical romance between a man, a very depresso man, and a trans woman, who's hopefully not as depresso as the man, because I don't want to read about purely depressed people being depressed. That's kind of depressing. For the next pick, we stay queer and we stay pinkish. It's a bit more salmon leaning, I guess, from the cover of the color, but it's still pink, and also this is the most Valentine themed of all the books I have, which is Blessed by the Cupid Redistribution System. What distribution system? I'm not quite sure at the moment. Editing me will know. By Robin Joel Margaret. I don't quite remember the exact plot points of this, but I remember it's a novella. It is sapphic, and we follow a woman who just falls in love with Cupid, I think. I can actually read you the synopsis from here because my screen is right there. Local loner and hopeless romantic Iris Clark is single, again, on Valentine's Day. During the annual Cupid speech before the Grand Lover's Day, Jaya comes across Iris's file. Unable to look away from those beautiful brown eyes, Jaya chooses Iris for her imminent mission. When the winged woman shows up at Iris's house and tells her she is going to find her partner for the day, Iris can't believe it. With some tweaks to her official agreement, the two find themselves wandering the city to complete Iris's list of dream dates so that she can get the opportunity to finally experience the romance she always dreamed of. But what will happen if the feelings between the two of them become a little too real, and their agreement is only supposed to last one day? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, it's a woman falling in love with Cupid. Cupid falling in love with a woman. What else is there to say other than it's probably hopelessly romantic and the cover is kind of pink? What would Valentine's Day be without a little monster schlong? The next book on my TBR is Hoarded by Dragon by Lillian Lark. If you know me, you know that I love me a monster romance by Lillian Lark, and this one is not the newest anymore because in December, late December of 2024, the next book came out, which takes place right after this, which is Married to the Devil, I believe. I don't know, I don't care. That one is blue. We are all about the pink. As you can see, the background is kind of pink and we have a lot of purple going on here. Fun fact, this cover is an oil painting Lillian Lark made herself. That's some serious art skill right there. In this one, we follow a thief who broke into a dragon's house, lair, whatever the fuck. This dragon in this setting is kind of a club owner slash mafia boss, sort of. And she breaks into his house and he finds her. He catches her in the act, probably being... he's in heat. So he kind of needs a hand with something. So they make a deal, she helps him, and in return he doesn't, I don't know, eat her or something. Next problem being, this little favor turns into her becoming pregnant with his baby. Now they kind of have to stick together because incubating a dragon baby comes with its own set of problems, and apparently they have to be near each other because they have to cuddle so that the baby doesn't just evaporate. I don't know. There is forced cuddling in this, and I think that is a very interesting way of phrasing things. A thief doing a final job, and a dragon caught in the precarious situation that changes both of their lives. He is powerful and wealthy, and he hates me. But I have something he wants. It wasn't a part of the plan. I'm the thief stupid enough to break into a dragon's hoard and walk away pregnant with his baby. That's all the plot you will get from this book. Lillian Lark usually writes exceptional smut, but also her relationship dynamics and her characters are just... I don't know how she does it, but I love so many of her characters. I have yet to read a book by her where I really hate everyone, and the dynamics coming out of all of these characters are just amazing. True, I wasn't a huge fan of book 2 in this series. This series is hard to quantify. I wasn't a fan of one of the characters in Entranced by the Basilisk, but he was still a fully fleshed out 3-dimensional character, so that kind of makes up for it. I just didn't vibe with the character himself, but the character was still executed in a good way. And the first book, Deceived by the Gargoyles, I fell in love with that book, and that is Deceived by the Gargoyles is one of the few books on this planet that I have read that made me cry. I didn't cry at Deceived by the Gargoyles, but I was so close to crying about that book. Holy shit. And that is not something I expect from my smutty monster romances. Lillian Lark knows what she's doing when she's writing these characters. So I am looking forward to reading this. This is one of my most anticipated reads, you could actually say. And it's a romance, and it's pink, and it's purple, and it fits the vibe of Valentine's Day. And that is my very romantic, very pink, very smutty, very lovey-dovey TBR for February. Last time, even though I didn't want it to be romantic and then it turned out to be romantic, it actually went pretty well. I remember that February was actually an okay-ish reading month in terms of quality of the books that I read. So let's hope this February is the same, even though I decided to go full-on romance with that. And John Gwynne. But yeah, this is it. This is heavier than it looks. So I'm just going to put that down here. If you made it this far into the video, leave any kind of heart in the comments. Of course, pink hearts would work well-ist with this kind of video. And yeah, tell me which books are your Valentine this year. This is so weird to say, especially if you consider that there are books out there like Unhinged and Squeak. Please don't fuck a book. I will see you in the next video. Bye.